Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to welcome you to our council meeting this morning. Um, I would ask you if you have cell phones to please turn them off at this time. I'll put them on silence. We would stand and have pledge of allegiance by Councilmember Reed and prayer by Councilmember Malinowski.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Holy Spirit, we thank you for the privilege of serving our community. As we consider this budget, grant us wisdom, discernment, and compassion. Help us to be good stewards of the resources entrusted to us and to treat one another with respect and understanding. Guide our discussions and decisions so that they serve the best interests of our city and all who call it home. Amen.
Amen. On our consent agenda, we have a work session minutes of May 1st to 15th, 2026, and proposed recycling collection services. So we get a motion and a second to approve those.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none, vote unanimously. Thank you so much. No zoning here this morning, new business, legal matters. Budget fiscal year 2027, fiscal year 2027 budget adopted. City Manager John Clem and Finance Director Karen Stout.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and through you to the members of our City Council. You assembled today to make a final decision on our fiscal year 2027 budget. A decision that ends a process that lasted over 6 months and started last November with a council budget retreat. I want to take this opportunity to thank each of you, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council for the meetings, the questions, the concerns, the comments, and the guidance you provided to me and my staff over the past 6 months since our initial retreat. At the end of the retreat, it was you, Mr. Mayor, who stated that more needed to be done and that we actually needed a second retreat. And you were right. So we had a second retreat on our financial challenges. And today, 6 months later, we are here to make a decision on the annual budget. A decision on an annual budget, but a decision much more than that, because we are really making a decision on the financial future of the city. It is a road to recovery for our budgetary challenges. Over the past 3 years, it was obviously clear that the city faced at least 3 major challenges. The first related to growth management, and we've covered that fully in previous meetings. And the second and third challenges begin to be addressed in the budget proposal before you, and in the significant discussions we've had over the past 6 months. Those being first, fiscal stability and sustainability, and secondly, the liability, which is our deteriorating condition of our infrastructure. Our talented staff testified before you with their years of experience, expressing their concern on both issues. We heard from not one, but 2 independent CPAs, and last meeting from our municipal financial advisor about our bond rating going down in the past and being placed on credit watch that we have since corrected. And we have heard loud and clear from our public works staff about the ongoing concerns about our infrastructure neglect, and heard from our infrastructure engineers who offered unmistakable conclusions that our immediate attention is necessary. And what did every one of them conclude? A unified chorus that we need to fix this situation. So simply stated, what needs to be fixed? We need to end practices that compromise our fiscal health. transferring funds from fund balance, taking funds away from infrastructure repairs for our enterprise accounts to subsidize our general operations. We need to build a real capital improvement plan and a real financial model that guides us into the future. The good news is that all of this is now in the works. With a commitment to reform, we will be in a very different financial position in 3 years. But without swift action, we will place the city in a position making it even more challenging to correct. So to correct the situation, tough decisions must be made. Decisions are usually easier to put off in the short run, but increasingly problematic in the long run. The issue of infrastructure liability is not some future hypothetical. It is here and now. Just in one day last week, you all received an email summarizing the challenge of our dedicated Department of Public Works staff, addressing a sinkhole caused by a sewer line problem, and at the same time a water line burst in another section of the city, as we concluded that immediate repairs are necessary at one of our sewer plants. Several council members recently took a tour of our water and sewer plants and know firsthand that we have much work to do. There are those that downplay this situation, even justify continued subsidization of general operations into the future, taking away essential funding from infrastructure repair, or suggesting that we turn our enterprise operations into self-sufficient entities. While this makes sense, to suggest that we do it while we continue to subsidize general operations would require massive rate increases that aren't even quantified. And there are those that blame the budget process itself on what has been termed by a 20-year veteran city employee as the longest budget process in Madison ever. The reality of actually cutting a city general fund budget, not reducing the size of the proposed increase, is not seen every day in cities around the country. But in Madison today, it is necessary to get our house in order as an alternative to a substantial property tax increase, which we are not proposing. Our preference is the El-Host sales tax proposal that hopefully will be on the ballot in the future so that our residents can decide. So we ask that we move forward today with some minor changes to begin the process of reform, to begin correcting our situation, to begin to solve our challenges, to put our financial house in order, not to continue to watch it get worse. Last week, we filed legislation with our friends at the county, at the State House, for specific Madison legislation to allow us an opportunity to ask our citizens about the sales tax proposal. Unfortunately, this past week, all of the local requests from cities across Georgia were denied, and so we'll have to introduce that again in the next legislative session. Our fiduciary responsibility is our fundamental one. 6 months ago, we were told at a retreat that our financial problems are imminently fixable, that we can be in a very different and improved position in several years. But it is up to us to take the first step, to fix what needs to be done. We don't need to watch our bond rating go down. We need to improve it. We don't need to fund expensive emergency repairs. We need to fund a long-range capital plan. The answer is a disciplined, strategic, and well-thought-out financial plan, which is exactly what our Citizens Financial Advisory Committee has recommended, along with an advanced financial model. A plan that puts Madison in charge of its future. A plan that our citizens can have confidence in and be proud of. We start down that road today, a road to financial recovery. And lastly, Mr. Mayor, it would have been so much easier for our staff this year to forego this discussion. It would have been so much easier to kick the can yet again. But we know that to procrastinate any further, not to reform a broken system, not to fix the problem, not to put the city back on the right track, is in no one's best interest. The budget, with some minor changes, is before you, and I'd like to introduce our finance director that will summarize the proposed changes.
Okay, during the budget process, we realized that some revisions needed to be made to the original budget presented. This happens from time to time when items are reviewed or come to our attention after the initial presentation. You have a handout of the total revision amounts, and the major revision was for a TAP grant. Earlier, we were informed that the Horse Branch TAP grant was going to be 100% funded by federal and state funds. It was originally omitted from the initial presentation, but has since been added to this T-SPLOST fund.
Are there any questions for Karen?
Is all of that 1.2 on the TAP grant, is it all for
No,
Horse Branch?
It is 1,166,166. That is the Horse Branch 100% revenue, and then also the expenditures on the expenditure side. But there was also a little bit from what we have spent year to date, closer to the year end, on the other TAP grants, to line it up to what needs to be carried over to the next year.
Thank you, Karen. Are there any questions from the council to our city manager?
Yeah, Mayor, if I could. So for John, the many questions that have been submitted to us by a number of citizens, you've answered some of those in your presentation. Do you feel like all the points that many people have made have been pretty well covered in your presentation here and in this budget?
Well, staff actually responded to the financial questions where there was a response to be had, and we placed that on the website for any
city
citizen to
website.
be able to see the questions and the answers.
So did you get any response back after you responded on the web? Okay. If there are no more questions for Karen or John, we are ready to move forward to adopt the budget of fiscal year 2027.
So Karen, if I've got this right now, the overall budget is 1.2 million more than what we originally presented because of the TAP grant, which wasn't accounted for originally. But we are still, on the general fund, we are proposing $800,000, $900,000 less than last year's general fund budget. So we've tightened the belt considerably, even though that extra money is there specifically for the T-SPLOST 2 items. Is that all accurate?
I guess that's where I get a little bit concerned, because I think that what it would appear is that we're actually raising the budget across the board, when in reality it's the SPLOST funds that are generating that increased revenue, and it's designated funds. I think we really need to
Talk
do.
in your mic, Dr. Mayo.
I'm sorry. I really think that we need to do a good job of communicating to our citizenry the whole concept of different buckets. That there are buckets for different expenditures, and it's not all in one bucket. It's in different places. And those funds have been designated for certain expenditures. I think it's really important for the average person to understand.
And I'll add too, with the 100% funded grants, regardless, the city is not coming out of pocket for the horse branch. But since we are receiving the funds from the state and federal government, and then we're expending it, it still has to be accounted for and budgeted for.
Sure.
And so it is a wash. We're not coming out of pocket in the T-SPLOST account for that grant. But I'd still have to account for the revenue coming in and the expenditure going out.
But I think you bring up a good point, Jim. The T-SPLOST money, there's a list right there we're looking at, sidewalk repairs, engineering, so forth. But the important thing for the citizens to know is that we've cut our general fund budget by over $800,000 to last year. So we have definitely tightened our belts.
There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, I think, that have gone into those cuts, and I really would like that to be acknowledged by the average person on the street. This is not something where we're simply adding to our expenditures. And the SPLOST funds are going to be used for some things that are really important. So I feel really comfortable with that.
And
And I
the
think-
areas that have gone up are the ones where we need to be putting money, where we've been kind of pulling it out in the past. The sanitation fund, some of those, those enterprise funds that have been kind of piggy banked in the past are now getting replenished as they should be.
And all of this is the fundamental reason why our Citizens Financial Advisory Committee has made the importance of financial modeling with graphics a high priority, because because it gets complex. Municipal finance can be complex, and the type of modeling that First Tryon employs goes a long way to be able to assist us in explaining exactly where the money's coming and where it's going.
I think something that I would really like us to focus on is our general fund balance and the success that we're having with that. I would love for us to project 3 years out and make projections as to what it's going to be based upon the significant changes that we're making, and graphically show that to folks. I think that would be a real good presentation for the community.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Sure.
So, Dr. Mayor, what you're saying is we're moving forward, but you would like the citizens to know that we're moving forward. And I totally agree. So they'll understand, because everybody are not mathematicians. They don't understand what the budget actually means. So if we break it down into layman terms, then people will understand that we are moving forward and we have tightened our belts.
That's a big deal.
Thank you.
I'm still struggling to figure out where people get their information. I would hope that everybody's getting this information that's talking about it on the streets, and that they're fully informed before they start talking about it. And I don't know whether it's a newspaper or social media or the monthly letter with the utility bills. I don't know where they're getting their information. I think we need to figure that out and make certain that everybody's getting the same stuff.
Yeah. I feel like we're very transparent. People perceive things differently. So we're saying how good it is, but it'll be someone to say that it's not good. I mean, this is my 15th year. The mayor always told me you'll never satisfy everyone, and that is correct. So we're doing our part.
I remember, Jim, in high school, I took a journalism class, and the primary sources are key. And one of them that I think is way underutilized by a lot of citizens is our city website. A lot of that's, all these details are in there in the website. Sometimes it's kind of hard to maneuver through it all, but it's there available for viewing. It's just most people prefer to go to Facebook.
Right. I think it's a question of push versus pull. But if we push it out to people, it's much more likely to get to people than if we expect them to go and find it
Right.
someplace and
That's right.
do their own research. I think there's a whole bunch of incentive for people to do that with their spare time, so. I would, if we're ready to accept the budget, I would move that we accept the budget as presented.
That's a motion, Dr. Mayo?
Yes, ma'am.
I second that motion.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none, vote unanimously for the fiscal year 2027 budget. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are there any comments from the public?
Mr. Mayor, if I can, I would just like to commend City Manager Clem and the mayor and all of council members for engaging in this very thorough, lengthy, painstaking process and coming up with what I personally feel is a great first step on the path forward for Madison. So I commend you all for your hard work on this. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
If there are no more comments, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.